Okay, CCMers, we're talking intervals. An interval name has two parts. It's got the quantity, as in how many scale degrees does it span, how many solfege syllables, how many letter names does it span, and it's got the quality. What type of interval is it? This interval right here, it's got two parts. It spans how many letters? C, D, E. So it's a third. Now, what type of third is it? It's a distance traveled on the keyboard of 1, 2, 3, 4 half steps. Notice I didn't include the C the first time, because from C to C, you haven't gone anywhere. You've taken no half steps forward. So basically C is 0, and you measure 1, 2, 3, 4 half steps up. This is what we call a major third, is a distance of 4 half steps, but the way you spell it has to span 3 total letters. And the reason I say this is you can run into situations where it might not be intuitive how to call an interval. So for example, let's say you just learned what the harmonic minor scale was. And if you were to build that, you see this. And you say, this is a pretty cool sound that I don't really hear in a lot of other scales that I've been talking about. What is this interval? You'll notice in scale construction that you go one letter at a time through these scales. C, D, E flat, F, G, A flat, B natural, C. So we're trying to find the interval from A flat to B natural. A flat, B spans 2 letters. So it's going to be some type of second. Then you say, okay, how many half steps is it from my starting point, which again, we're going to call 0 half steps because we haven't gone anywhere yet, up to the note we're trying to reach, which is 1, 2, 3 half steps. This is what's called an augmented second. So you'd say, well, it looks and sounds an awful lot like another interval that you may have encountered, which is a minor third, which also has 3 half steps. If this were spelled instead of A flat, the enharmonic equivalent, let's say G sharp to B natural, that would be an interval that spans G something, A something, B something. Now it's a third. So that's the really confusing part of intervals that hangs up a lot of people. But just remember that when you're trying to identify intervals, let's say between 2 notes that you see on a piece of sheet music, or one of your theory assignments in your class or something, start with the letters first. Start with the floors in your apartment first. Then worry about the half steps. So that way you always know what the correct spelling of that interval is. So if you want more info about intervals, we have an amazing chart that has every interval from the minor second all the way up through the octave. So you get a really detailed breakdown of all of them. You can find that in the video description below. And again, I strongly encourage you to bone up on all these intervals because they are the foundational elements of all these musical structures that you're going to learn, play, listen to, talk about in your studies.